Pippi is a thing finder and gets into a fight, Part 1. Evening, my little angel. So Pippi appeared and became nun in a very impressive and fun way. Even though she didn't have her parents to stay with, Pippi made 2 lovely new friends when she returned home, and a journey of discovery opened before her eyes. Let's join Pippi, Thomas, and Annika on their first adventure. Annika woke up early the next morning. She jumped out of bed and ran over to Thomas. "Wake up, Thomas!" she cried, pulling him by the arm. "Wake up and let's go and see that funny girl with the big shoes." Thomas was wide awake in an instant. "I knew, even while I was sleeping, that something exciting was going to happen today, but I didn't remember what it was," he said as he yanked off his pajama jacket. Off they went to the bathroom, washed themselves, and brushed their teeth much faster than usual, had their clothes on in a twinkling, and a whole hour before their mother expected them, came sliding down the banister and landed at the breakfast table. Down they sat and announced that they wanted their hot chocolate right at the very moment. "What's going to happen today that you're in such a hurry?" asked their mother. "We're going to see the new girl next door," said Thomas. "We may stay all day," said Annika. That morning, Pippi was busy making pepparkakor, a kind of Swedish cookie. She had made an enormous amount of dough and rolled it out on the kitchen floor. "Because," said Pippi to her little monkey, "what earthly use is a baking board when one plans to make at least 500 cookies?" And there she lay on the floor, cutting out cookie hearts for dear life. "Stop climbing around the door, Mr. Nilsson," she said crossly just as the doorbell rang. Pippi ran and opened the door. She was white as a miller from top to toe, and when she shook hands heartily with Thomas and Annika, a whole cloud of flour blew over them. "So nice you called," she said, and shook her apron, so there came another cloud of flour. Thomas and Annika got so much in their throats that they could not help coughing. "What are you doing?" asked Thomas. "Well, if I say that I'm sweeping the chimney, you won't believe me. You're so clever," said Pippi. "Fact is, I'm baking, but I'll soon be done. You can sit on the good box for a while." Pippi could walk fast, she could. Thomas and Annika sat and watched how she went through the door, how she threw cookies onto the cookie pans and swung the pans into the oven. They thought it was as good as a circus. "Done," said Pippi finally, and she shut the oven door on the last pans with a bang. "What are we going to do now?" asked Thomas. "I don't know what you are going to do," said Pippi, "but I know I can't lie around and be late. I am a thing finder, and when you are a thing finder, you don't have minutes to spare." "What did you say you are?" asked Annika. "A thing finder? What's that?" asked Thomas. "Somebody who hunts for things naturally. What else could it be?" said Pippi as she swept all the flour left on the floor into a little pile. "The whole world is full of things, and somebody has to look for them, and that's just what a thing finder does," she finished. "What kind of things?" asked Annika. "Oh, all kinds," said Pippi. "Lumps of gold, ostrich feathers, dead rats, candy snapcrackers, little tiny screws, and things like that." Thomas and Annika thought it sounded as if it could be fun and wanted very much to be a thing finders too, although Thomas did say he hoped he'll find a lump of gold and not a little tiny screw. We shall see what we shall see, said Pippi. One always finds something, but we've got to hurry up and get going so that other thing finders don't pick up all the lumps of gold around here before we get them. All three thing finders now set out. They decided that it could be best to begin hunting around the houses in the neighborhood because Pippi said that although it could perfectly well happen that one might find a little screw deep in the woods, still the very best things were usually found where people were living. Though, for that matter, she said, I've seen it the other way around too. I remember once when I was out hunting for things in the jungles of Borneo, right in the heart of the forest, where no human being had ever before set foot. What do you suppose I found? Why, a very fine golden leg. I gave it away later to a one-legged old man, and he said that a golden leg like that wasn't to be had for love or money. Thomas and Annika looked at Pippi to see just how a thing finder acts. Pippi ran from one side of the road to the other, shaded her eyes with her hand, and hunted and hunted. Sometimes she crawled about on her hands and knees, stuck her hands in between the pickets of a fence, and then said in a disappointed tone, Oh dear, I was sure I saw a lump of gold. May we really take everything we find? Asked Annika. Yes, everything that's lying on the ground, said Pippi. Presently, they came to an old man lying asleep on the lawn outside his cottage. There, said Pippi, that man is lying on the ground and we have found him. Wow, take him! Thomas and Annika were utterly horrified. No, Pippi, we can't take an old gentleman. We couldn't possibly, said Thomas. Anyway, whatever good we do with him? What good we do with him? Oh, there are plenty of things we could do with him. We could keep him in a little rabbit hutch instead of a rabbit and feed him on dandelions. But if you don't want to, I don't care. Go. It does bother me to think that some other thing finder may come along and grab him. They went on. Suddenly, Pippi gave a terrific yell. Wow, I never saw the like, she cried as she picked up a large, rusty old tin can from the grass. What a find! What a find! Gang, that's something you can never have too many of. Thomas looked at the can doubtfully. What can you use it for? Oh, you can use it in all sorts of ways, said Pippi. One way is to put cookies in it. Then it becomes a delightful jar with cookies. Another way is not to put cookies in it. Then it becomes a jar without cookies. That certainly isn't quite so delightful, but still that's good too. She examined that can, which was indeed rusty and had a hole in the bottom. It looks almost as if it were a jar without cookies, she said thoughtfully. But you can put it over your head and pretend that it is midnight. And that is just what she did. With the can on her head, she wandered around the block like a little metal tower and never stopped until she tumbled over a low wire fence and fell flat on her stomach. There was a big crash when the tin can hit the ground. Now, see that, said Pippi and took off the can. If I hadn't had this thing on, I'd have fallen flat on my face and hurt myself terribly. Yes, said Annika, but if you hadn't had the can on your head, then you wouldn't have tripped on the wire fence in the first place. Before she had finished speaking, there was another triumphant cry from Pippi, who was holding up an empty spool of thread. This seemed to be my lucky day, she said. Such a sweet, sweet little spool to blow soft bubbles with or to hang around my neck for a necklace. I'll go home and make one this very minute. However, just at that moment, the gate of one of the cottages nearby opened, and a boy came rushing out. He looked scared, and that was no wonder, because head over heels after him came 5 other boys. They soon caught him and pushed him against the fence, and all 5 began to punch and hit him. He cried and held his arms in front of his face to protect himself. "Give it to him! Give it to him!" cried the oldest and strongest of the boys, so that he'll never dare to show himself on the street again. Oh no, fighting friends. But why? And how will Pippi, Thomas and Annika react? We will find out next time. Today's story time is over. I wish my angel a good night's sleep. I kiss you long on your forehead. See you again next time.